A few months ago, I overheard someone talking about a mutual acquaintance. This person had a solid retirement nest egg, lived in a modest home, and didn't have a lot of stuff, and she traveled regularly. And the woman I was listening to said, they have such a big retirement nest egg and nothing to show for it. Nothing to show for it. I thought about that for a while. Because I live in a one-bedroom apartment, I drive a 15-year-old car, I buy most things gently used, and I don't have a lot of stuff. And I know that to some people, I have nothing to show for it either. But here's what I actually have. I own every single hour of my day. I'm not anchored to a property or someone else's idea of what security is supposed to look like. And I want to make the case today that the woman my acquaintance was describing, the one with nothing to show for it, might actually have everything. Hi, I'm Michelle, and on this channel we talk about creating a peaceful, confident life after 50, especially if you're living alone, traveling solo, or navigating retirement. One of the most deeply held beliefs in retirement culture is that the goal is to accumulate more, own more, and have more to show for it. Because I think for a lot of us, that belief is costing us the very freedom we're working towards. Here's what traditional retirement advice tells us. Save as much as you can, own your home, build equity, update your lifestyle as your income grows, and then once you've proved yourself worthy, you get to retire into the life that you've spent decades accumulating. That advice isn't wrong for everyone. But there's a cost inside it that most people never fully examine. Everything you own has an ongoing price tag, not just the purchase price, the carrying cost, the property tax, insurance, maintenance, repairs, management, upkeep, a bigger home, a newer car, a lifestyle that has to be kept up to match the story that it's supposed to tell. And when you're working, you accept this trade without looking too hard at it, because the income covers it. But in retirement, every dollar you spend maintaining the life you've accumulated is a dollar that isn't funding your freedom and your time and the actual life you said you were saving for. When I retired, I didn't retire into a big house full of carefully curated things. I rent a one-bedroom apartment, my furniture is almost entirely thrifted from antique stores, and my car is 15 years old and paid for. I buy most things secondhand. This isn't because I couldn't make other choices. This is because at some point I started doing the math. Not just the financial math, but the freedom math. I have 2 years of living expenses in a high-yield savings account. I have a long-term investment portfolio and small income streams that I genuinely enjoy. My Etsy shop where I sell my artwork on greeting cards and jigsaw puzzles, and the children's books that I've written and illustrated, and also this YouTube channel. None of it is impressive in the status sense, but all of it is mine, and none of it requires me to manage, maintain, or protect a lifestyle that I've outgrown. The shift happened gradually. I started noticing that my possessions weren't giving me security. They were just giving me more to take care of, more to worry about, and more background noise. Maybe you could honestly look at your overhead, the total recurring cost of maintaining the life that you currently have. Not just your mortgage and rent, but everything. The insurance, the property tax, maintenance, HOA fees, car costs, storage units, subscription services. For a lot of people, that number is somewhere between $30,000 and $60,000 a year just to maintain the status quo. And here's the math that stops me in my tracks every time I think about it. If you reduce your annual overhead by $20,000 and you're withdrawing from your portfolio at roughly 4% annually, you'll need $500,000 less in retirement savings to achieve the same financial freedom. $500,000 in exchange for a smaller home, an older car, and buying most of your furniture secondhand. That's not deprivation, that's leverage. And for retirees or those who want to retire without a massive nest egg, that math matters enormously. You don't have to earn your way to freedom, you can also simplify your way into it. Downsizing isn't just a financial decision, it's an identity decision, and it can bring up real friction. When I first started simplifying, buying things used, driving an older car, living in a one-bedroom apartment, there was a part of me that felt the social weight of it. We live in a culture that reads your possessions as your net worth. A certain address says something, a certain car says something, and a beautifully furnished home also says something. Choosing to opt out of that can feel at first like a demotion. What helped me was asking a different question, not what does this say about me, but what is this actually costing me? Because most of what I was holding on to wasn't giving me joy or genuine security. It was just maintaining a story that I'd inherited about what success was supposed to look like. Once I separated my sense of self-worth from what I owned, the simplifying stopped feeling like a loss and started feeling like I was lighter. My apartment isn't sparse. It's warm and personal, and it's completely mine. It costs a fraction of what it would have cost any other way, and it gives me more peace than any lifestyle upgrade ever did. When you're not spending $20,000 or $30,000 a year maintaining things you own, where does that money go? For me, it goes into staying mobile, into being able to say yes to a slow trip without agonizing over it, whether I have the margin to do it. It goes into keeping my 2-year cash reserve so that I don't feel pressure to take on work that I don't want to take. And this is the calculation I find most compelling. Every year of overhead you eliminate is potentially another year or more of retirement you can fund. That's not an abstraction. Those are actual years of owning your mornings, of walking your dog without checking your email first, of taking the train somewhere on a random day because you can. I thought simplifying would feel like giving something up, but what it actually gave back was my nervous system. I don't have background anxiety about what's going to break or leak or need replacing. I don't have a storage unit full of things I've been meaning to deal with. I don't have a lifestyle that I have to perform or protect. I wake up in my apartment, make my coffee, and my days are mine to design. I travel slow and solo when I want to. I write and make art. I meet friends for walks. I sit in my apartment with thrifted furniture, afternoon light, and I feel genuinely, quietly wealthy in a way I never felt when I was maintaining more. The person that my acquaintance dismissed, the one with the big nest egg and nothing to show for it, I think they understood something that most people don't figure out until it's too late. That the point was never the stuff. The point was the time. The point was the days. And the point was waking up with nowhere you have to be that you don't choose yourself. And that's not nothing to show for it. That's the whole point. This genuinely isn't the right path for everyone. If you have a family home with deep meaning, a place that will stay in your family, that carries your history, that your children want, that is real and a valid reason to own. Legacy through property is not a myth for everyone. If your home genuinely brings you peace rather than stress, and you can afford it without straining your retirement income, then owning may be exactly right for you. I'm pro-renting for myself. I'm not anti-owning as a blanket rule. And if you truly love the things that you've accumulated, if your home is an honest expression of who you are and the upkeep doesn't cost you your freedom, then there's no problem here to solve. This approach is for those who have been quietly doing the calculation and realizing that the life they're maintaining doesn't quite match the life that they want. Minimalist retirement wealth isn't about having less. It's about being ruthlessly honest about what you want your money and your energy to actually buy. And when you do that math clearly, for a lot of us, the answer is time, movement, and the ability to own every single hour. Driving a 15-year-old car, buying furniture secondhand, living in a one-bedroom apartment that you genuinely love, this isn't nothing to show for it. Thank you so much for watching.